Oh, am I live? I always love that, where it's that initial, ooh, are we here? Yes, I think we are here. Hello, everyone. Hello, I'm always a one-man band, so I always have to make sure that I'm here. I'm looking for the note. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm here. I wanted to make sure I'm live. Yes, hello, everyone. Hello. It is great to see you all. Yes, fantastic. Now, I should be live in Janome Canada Facebook and Janome America, Janome Sewing Machines Facebook Live, and streaming live to the Janome HQ YouTube channel and Janome America's YouTube channel. Oh, and I see my sister Deb is here right away. Hello, hello. It is great to see you. So yes, even if you don't have Facebook, these presentations now stream live to our respective YouTube channels. Again, I am Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada. So we're streaming live to Janome Canada, Janome HQ YouTube channel. And then, yes, I'm here because of Janome America's Janome Sewing Machines Facebook group, and we're streaming live to Janome America YouTube channel. So even if you don't have Facebook, you can still share in the Janome love. And I love how, again, Janome Canada and Janome America, we're pretty much, we're trying to get into being Janome North America. Who cares about that border? That we can all share the Janome love. We certainly work very well together. Our fabulous Celine Ross, our Janome Canada educator in Montreal, she does her regular Tuesday lives in Janome Sewing Machines. She'll also do Wednesday lives. Oh, and both Celine and I do the Janome Continental Club lives that are Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern in the Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page, and then it's shared to the Continental Club group, and then again streams lives to YouTube. So no matter where you are on what platform, we try to share the Janome love as much as we can. Oh my gosh, hello everybody. Wow, it's wonderful to see everybody piling in. Great. I will get started right away because, again, there's so much to share. So, yes, I am Michael Smith, National Education Manager of Janome Canada, and thank you so much for joining me here in my palatial estate in my sewing room. And we're going to share how you can get more from some of your Janome embroidery machines. Leave it to Janome to always want more, always do more. So, in this case, I need to flip around. As I always have to get my big thumb in there, my big finger in there to flip my camera. There we go. Beautiful. So we can see now in this case, I'm going to be on my fabulous Janome Memory Craft 550E. And then the next model that came out right after this was the 550E LE limited edition machine, but it's the same machine essentially. But what I'm going to show you today is also compatible with the Memory Craft 500E, which was the previous top of the line standalone embroidery model, and even the Memory Craft 450E, which again, previous top of the line standalone model. Now, this is also available for a couple of other machines, which I'll get into, but what we're going to talk about today, how to turn our dedicated, in this case, standalone embroidery machine, the Memory Craft 550E ELE, how to turn our embroidery machine into a long arm quilting machine. And what we're going to do is go to our fabulous Janome dealer, and we're going to purchase this AcuFil Quilting kit. And what is AcuFil Quilting? We turn our embroidery machine into a long arm quilting machine. So all of your quilt tops, you can get all done yourself, custom quilting even, all by yourself, again, with the aid of this AcuFil Quilting software. So the cool thing in this box is this fabulous magnetic hoop that you can clamp all your layers, your backing, your batting, and your quilt top. It comes with the software. You do all the designing on your Windows-based operating system. So if you have a Mac, you have to either separate your operating system so it can run Windows, or many of our Mac owners tell us they just get an inexpensive laptop. It's often reconditioned, that all they need to do is just run these Windows-based programs. So there's always a way around it. Now, in the kit, it comes with the CDs. There's a quick start guide to get you started and the AcuFil tool software. again, for your Windows-based operating system. Now, if you don't have an built-in CD reader, you can get an external CD drive that you can load this to your computer, or these are now available as digital downloads. So again, little by little, we're dispensing of these discs, and then you will get that digital download for this software. So what we can do with AcuFil Quilting. Ooh, again, quilting in the hoop. So things like all this beautiful stippling. Now, maybe I'm good enough to do that free motion wise on my domestic machine, or I could do that maybe free motion on my long arm. Instead, I'd rather let the embroidery machine, look how perfect that is. Look how even all that stippling is, and looks as beautiful on the back as it does on the front. Now, this is linen. This could be like a dresser scarf. This could be a table runner. This could even be a scarf that you wear too, with all the beautiful, again, quilting design and all this edge-to-edge. Stippling is what we're going to focus on today because the software is so extensive. You could do so much with it. I'll just have to do more. So edge-to-edge quilting. Now, it could be, again, all this stippling. We could do it just to the edge of this border, or it could be the whole edge of your quilt, right to the raw edge of your quilt, and then you would bind your quilt. So it could be whatever edge you choose. Again, in this case, it was to this border. And then these blocks were added, and again, individually, you can quilt these blocks. Or how about doing a separate border? In this case, it's this leaf. So again, you can combine shapes, designs to make sashing strips, border strips, blocks, or in this case, we're going to focus on edge to edge with that stippling. Oh, sorry, I've been talking all day. I knew I would be coughing. So yes, or again, blocks. How about this? When we can use the software to create blocks, we add this separate element, all this heart quilting. This is a tote bag. So you're not only quilting your quilts, but you're quilting your fabric. And in this case, it's cut up into a tote bag. Or how about, I love this. Now, this was done by my Janome Canada predecessor, Linda Pedzmecki. Linda quilted, look at all this beautiful stippling, quilted the fabric first. I thought this was ingenious. Quilted the layers together, this plaid, and then again, this polar fleece, quilted all together with all that beautiful stippling in the embroidery hoop. Then the fabric was cut up, as you'll see the little pocket here. Then the fabric was cut up into the collar, the pocket, the body, all put together, use the serger, put it together. So simple. So how about that, especially with the cold weather coming up? So you quilt your fabric first, then you cut it up into a garment. So it's not just edge-to-edge quilting. Now, the wonderful thing, this was my first sample 8 years ago when I first joined Janome. I had the MemoryCraft 15,000, which came with the magnetic hoop. It came with the AcuFil software that's included in the Horizon Link suite. So again, we can do other machines as well. The MemoryCraft 12,000, there was a AcuFil quilting kit for that machine. MemoryCraft 11,000 was the very first Janome machine with AcuFil quilting. So there is a separate AcuFil quilting kit for that machine. It's no longer in our warehouse, but you can double check your Janome dealer. They may actually have it. So again, edge to edge, I did it in this case. This pre-printed panel is a great way to get started. I did it right to the edge here, and you'll see, look how beautiful, right to the edge of that border. Look at that stippling. Or it could be right to the edge of my quilt, in this case, the red border. But instead, I decided to do all these beautiful butterflies. So again, we can do blocks, we can do individual shape, we can do edge to edge. I don't have an embroidery machine. Oh, well then, of course, you can see the fabulous ELE 550 ELE limited edition. That yes, you can purchase this at any time and keep your regular domestic machine and then sewing machine, and then you're quilting here in your embroidery machine. So again, when we talk about embroidery, we're used to an embroidery hoop. This fits into my 550E. And it's got an outer hoop and an inner hoop. And then we clamp, our fabric and our stabilizer in between the two hoops. We have these soft acrylic, all the Janome embroidery hoops. They've got this soft, plastic template, so we can see left and right, gridded template to help us position our embroidery designs perfectly. Now, some of our bigger hoops take these magnets there and they clamp. Again, for bigger hoops, we've got the magnets that'll help hold the layers together. Now, sometimes when people are quilting in the hoop and they say, oh, but my layers, my backing, my batting, in this case, my little sample here, I never have enough room on my table. My sample, again, of my backing is cut larger. My batting is larger than my quilt top here. By the time we get these thicknesses, these layers are not really designed for the embroidery hoops. So when people say, oh, it doesn't work and it slips and the magnets come off, well, we don't want to use the little magnets. Oh, we want to use big guys like this. And where these big magnets come with are fabulous. This is our magnetic AcuFil Quilting hoop. And again, the 15,000 came with one that looks a little different. And the Continental M17, the CM17, came with a larger magnetic hoop. And again, the 12,000 has a AcuFil Quilting kit, as does the 11,000. Big magnetic strips. There's no inner hoop. Instead of that flexible plastic template, there's a hard acrylic template here. Again, left and right, so we can orient it correctly in the hoop. Same grid, that we can position our printed template. And this hard acrylic template helps us mesh down the batting. We can use any batting, any layers of batting we want. And the big magnets are going to help us keep our layers together. It works so well. So we need to get the software. Now, in this case, it's again for the MemoryCraft 550E, 500E, 450E, and 550E LE. So I won't get too... I can't really zoom in too much on my phone because that's when things go wonky. But hopefully you will be able to see up here on the right, the first thing you're going to do when you load this software into your computer, go up here, you open the program and go up here to the little blue question mark that's on the right. And what that is going to do is open your built-in instruction manual. Now, I'm kind of old school in that I go through all of this and we go more and more and more. The entire program, everything you need to know, you can just download and print all of this if you so choose. I do, and of course I put it in a red binder here, all in page protectors. You label it AcuFil Quilting, so this way you keep it near your machine because you're not always going to be doing AcuFil Quilting, maybe. So that way you print out the manual, put it in page protectors, you've got it whenever you need it, or you don't have to download this, you just open it whenever you're in the program, and you'd keep a separate window open, but you've got built-in help all along the way. So that is wonderful. The next thing we're going to do is go up here to the top left and open this little tab and come down here. We're going to go down to model selection. And this is where, what machine do we have? Because again, this AcuFil software, there is many Janome Life blogs, tons of blogs about AcuFil Quilting. You go to Janome America YouTube channel, type in AcuFil Quilting in the search box. There is a ton of videos, a whole hour-long webinar. Now it's done on the 12,000, but it's the same software. On, again, Janome Life blog, I did many blogs on the 15,000 AcuFil Quilting, but again, it's the same software. In many of our live presentations, videos on Janome HQ YouTube channel, many AcuFil Quilting presentations, it's the same software, it doesn't matter the machine. But we need to select in the software, what machine do I have? So in this case, it's the 550E, or it would be the same 550E LE. Even the ELNA equivalents are here, and the CM17. There has been an update to the AcuFil Quilting software. You go to the Janome global site, and for all of you CM17 owners, you can have this whole separate AcuFil Quilting program on your computer. You got it within the Artistic Digitizer Junior package when you bought your CM17. But the AcuFil Quilting was a little harder to find within that software. Now it's a whole separate program, so easy to use. If you had the MemoryCraft 15,000, this will be a walk in the park for you. It's the same kind of setup, regardless of the machine. So you select the correct machine. I'm on the 550E in this case. Click OK. We go up here again to the top left. We can click on what version is it. Again, it's 3.0 is the latest version with this most recent update. So whenever there's a Janome update in software, it is going to be posted on the Janome Global site. We'll talk about it in our respective Janome America, Janome Canada social media, Janome Life blog. So you're aware of the update. You go to the global site, download the update. It's all for free. So that's great. So you can check what version you have. Then we can also come here and change. I like to change the unit of measure. Embroidery is always millimeters. I can change it to inches. Personal preference. And then also in here, we can click Design Collection. Now, again, we're just going to go fast and furious in this. All of this stippling is created within the AcuFil Quilting software. You type in your measurements and basically the software does it all for you. All of these beautiful individual designs we can combine and create our own quilting designs. Scroll through more, all of these stippling designs. There's actually 3 designs built in here. So lots of flexibility, lots of creativity. All these little parts and pieces we can again use as background fill around an applique, around an embroidery, or we can combine them and create a sashing or a border. So again, I will have to do more presentations in all of this. Today, we're just going to focus on edge to edge. That's mainly what a lot of people want to do. Just how can I get my quilt tops done faster and easier, but I don't have the expense, the budget, or the space for a long arm. Well, we can get our, again, embroidery only machine in this case, and it can do all the work for us. We can quilt in the embroidery hoop. So in our AcuFil software, I'm going to use a multiple design layout, boom. And here, up to 129 inches. That's a really big king size quilt. So we can do down as small as 3.94 inches, so a little roughly 4-inch block, or we can go all the way up to a big king size quilt. So what is my dimension of my quilt? I'll just type in 28 by 35 is I think what my little sample is. But again, this could be 60 by 80. It could be 100 by 100, whatever it is. You're quilting your fabric, your yardage, or again, you're quilting a specific tote bag, or you're quilting a specific table runner, or again, you've got a big lap size quilt, single bed quilt, the queen size quilt, king size quilt. You just type in what size is my quilt, you click OK, and boom, there's my little edit window. Now I can either edit my size, or the only other selection I can make is this next arrow. It's in a dark blue. Everything else here across my top menu, which are all the editing functions, by the way, that are included in our embroidery machine, all across here are the same editing functions in our embroidery machine as they are here in the AcuFil Quilting software. I can't select any of them. I can only select either to change my editing size, or I have to click that blue next arrow. It's a very intuitive software, but again, we've got that built-in help menu on the top right little blue question mark. That's your built-in help manual. So yes, this software is AcuFil Janome AcuFil Quilting. So it will not work for your other brands of embroidery machine. They must be able to use the Janome like Jeff files, or the JPX files. So then we click next. Boom, the software has done it all for us. I hope you can see with the lighting, all this stippling, not crossed over, by the way, all this beautiful stippling, all done. The software has calculated how big of that stippling design is going to help fill your edge-to-edge quilting. It's just like the expensive long arm software packages. that are out there. Janome's got like the Quiltmaker Pro premium software, or the Quiltmaker Pro Stitcher Lite software, depending on what long arm you have. This does it all for you. It resizes your design exactly for you. No need for graph paper or anything. So isn't that perfect? So this is our edge to edge design. We go up to, again, the little plus mark here and scroll down to, we can go print preview. And here is a paper template we can print out, just like our embroidery designs in our embroidery editor software. Here is a page that says, this is my stippling square, and these are the number of hoopings. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So there's 20 hoopings in total. That may sound like a lot, but the cool thing about this AcuFil quilting software with the magnetic hoop here, we do not have to take our hoop out of the machine. When we're ready to move our fabric, after it's all quilted in the hoop, we unclamp the fabric, move the fabric over, the quilt sandwich over where we need to, put our template back in place to help line up our next quilting design, clamp the fabric, and away we go. It is so fast and so easy. So by not having to remove the hoop, definitely saves a lot of time. So then that is done. And here are my little shapes here. Now I go one step further. So this is printed out. I go one step further and I trim around my stippling in this case so I can see it a little better when I line it up on my hard acrylic template like that. And again, the arrows to point up, which ended up. So we align, again, just like with our embroidery templates, with embroidery editor software. I use green painter's tape in this case. And again, I tape my template to the hard acrylic template. And there, by having that cut edge, I can see a little better where my stippling is going to line up. So that's the advantage of the paper templates. And then once you print those out, we close this up. Now, very important, in order to get this design to our machine, we're going to go up here and write a design. So click on that. Again, it's the same for any kind of embroidery editing software. Where is it? Where do we want to save this? We're going to change it from our PC. We're saving it to the USB flash drive that's already plugged into my computer here. Now we could save it in the embroidery folder, or I've gone down here to create a new folder. It's AcuFil Quilting. I've created a new folder just to put it there. We no longer need to put our designs in a folder, but that just makes it easier to find. So within the AcuFil folder, oh, I've got a couple of other designs in there too. Very important, I need to retitle this, rename this. And this is often the mistake people make. They forget to do this and it doesn't work. So I've done a few. So we'll do stipple test 2, or we'll do stipple 2. Stipple 2 will be my design. Click OK. And then boom, we see there's the icon for our PC. We're going to click that arrow and it's going to move to the USB flash drive. So very simple. Now, when we come down here, and again, there's lots of blogs on Janome Life blog where I've gone through step-by-step how to do this process. Now, when I come down here to my computer, very important, we don't want to pull that USB flash drive out of our computer right away. For my computer, I come down here and I click this little icon and it says open device and printers and eject disk. So I eject and then I can safely remove. Again, it's a little icon on my computer where I can safely remove the USB stick. You don't just want to rip it out, because then that is what could corrupt the files and then you won't be able to open them on your machine. So when I'm over here on my embroidery machine, I'm just going to insert the USB flash drive, boom, into the machine. And then where is this design? It is going to be with the file folder with the arrow going out. Now, it's not in the memory of my machine. It's in the USB flash drive. And it was not in this embroidery folder. This up arrow here to the top left is your friend. If you can't find your design, use this up arrow. Oh, look, there is my AcuFil folder that I had created. So maybe it's in the up arrow, you go to another level. But also maybe you've got 1 of 2, as I do down here, page 1 of 2. So if my design is not within here, maybe I scroll over, oh, there's another AcuFil quilting design I created. So use the up arrow or use these arrows here to scroll through the various pages if you have them. So I know my design was in this AcuFil folder. There it is, stipple 2. Boom. Now my hoop is going to move, or my arm is going to move. Now you'll see in my machine here, it's the ASQ18B hoop, which is 7.2 by 7.2 inches, which is the AcuFil quilting hoop for the, again, 450E, 500E, 550E, 550ELE. I click OK. There's my design. It's going to take 5 minutes. I've got it on 600 stitches per minute. I can increase the speed of my machine to 800 stitches per minute, or on the CM17, we can go all the way up to 1200 stitches per minute in embroidery. So AcuFil Quilting will work on Windows-based software only. So you have to, again, either partition your Mac hard drive to run Windows, or again, many of the Mac owners tell us they just get an inexpensive laptop in order to run the Windows-based computer. They rather not partition the hard drive, although again, many Mac owners tell us they do, and they have no problem. So here is my hoop with my template, and as usual, where does the time go? So this is why it is so fun. Again, you check out the respective Janome America YouTube channel, Janome HQ YouTube channel, the Janome Life blogs. There is so much about AcuFil quilting. Now here is my big quilt sandwich, and I rolled up my layers. Again, I use the binder clips, bulldog clips, even old-fashioned bicycle clips. And I have, most importantly, I have my backing very large, extended bigger than my batting and my quilt top, because we want to make sure when we get to the edge of the quilt, we need fabric to go over the hoop. So cut yourself extra backing and extra batting that you can always trim off later. So this is really good to stand up when you're going to position this, because that'll give you a little more strength. I've got my extension table here of my 550E, and what I'm going to do that helps support my project. Now, if you have your big quilt off the edge of your table, or you might want to use like an ironing board, or maybe you got to drop a leaf at the back of your table to bring up and help support the quilt. You don't want it to pull while you're stitching. Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. Again, this is so, so hard when we're fighting for space and have a camera in front of me. But what I want to do, and again, as I have my, you can take as long as you need to just make this perfect. But what I have is, I can see through my clear acrylic template, my previous line of stitching, my stippling, and I can see, because I've cut around the edge here of the stippling, I can see exactly where I need to position my fabric, because I want to try to make this look like it's continuous. So it's the same distance as it is between this stippling, which is about 1/4 of an inch. So when I'm ready to clamp, I go from the outside in, because I don't really want to stretch my quilt, but it's cool because we see with the template, if I had a border line, for example, I can line up the border of my fabric along maybe one of these grids of the template, so I can see exactly where I can position my design. Now, when I get these clamps on, again, I go from the outside in, and I use the heel of my palm, and I really push down on these clamps. When people say they, come off, and I find they're not using the AcuFil quilting hoop and the big clamps, and they haven't pushed, like you want to push these down really good. That will definitely help. And again, you would maybe have this on a bigger table and you wouldn't have a camera in front of you. But you see, yes, I have it all down beautifully. Very importantly, there are 2 big holes here for your finger. You're going to remove your hard acrylic template. You do not want to stitch through that. So, the time running out. I'm just going to get this in the hoop. In the machine, we've got our extra high presser foot lift here. I'm just going to squish all my layers under here. Perfect. And then this hoop clamps on to our embroidery machine just the way the other hoops do. I'll make sure it's all in there. And then this big sandwich, I'm just going to make sure it kind of floats up here. It's not going to get in the way. Now I just drop my foot and I take my thread here and I'm just going to do a 1 stitch stop. Now we do have the settings. I could go into the setting mode and click 1 stitch stop, or I can just pull it up. Typically I can just do this way. I ended up taking 2 stitches quickly. But yes, I'm going to pull up my bobbin thread. That just keeps the back of the quilt a little cleaner, and I don't need to go back later to trim that. So I can hold on to my threads. I can hold them up here on the side thread holder, side thread cutter. I just hit start. Once I start going away from these threads, again, I can stop my machine and I get in my little 4-inch mini duckling scissors, trim my loose threads. These are perfect because they're offset. Again, for the embroidery hoop, we can get way down in there. And away I go. So this is going to stitch and do its thing. And we could go off and do multitasking now. The machine is just going to do its thing. But again, I just want to make sure I end up sitting here because, again, it's only going to take 5 minutes. So I just sit here and marvel at my beautiful quilt and just make sure like my layers aren't getting folded over anywhere. Nothing is going to drag. So as it does this stippling, and again, my previous line here, my previous stippling, this is going to look like, when you first look at the quilt, it's going to look like it's continuous, but they're actually hoop by hoop. Now, again, when I'm done this hooping, all we have to do is remove the magnets and drag the quilt in whatever direction we want. Typically, when I'm quilting, I start from the center and I'll go one way, as I did out here. Here's the rest of my quilt sandwich rolled up. So I went out this way. Then I go back to the center, and now I'm going out this way. When this block is finished, this hooping is finished, I'll go back to the center, and then I can go down, and then back to the center, and go up, and then out to the corners. Now, other educators, they love to start at the top, if this were the top of the quilt, and they do the whole top row, and then they do one row after another, and then finish up at the bottom row. So it's however you would like to quilt is up to you. Look, do you see how beautiful? Look, it's going to be so perfect. And again, and even if it's not 100% perfect, although boy, that's going to be good. Even if it's not, no one will know. By the time this is all done and quilted, no one will know. Now, you're probably not going to use this red thread against this contrasting fabric. It might be, it could be a multicolor thread. It could be a matching thread. So you see more of the texture as opposed to the actual thread color. But either way, it's going to be so beautiful. And this way you get your entire quilt done the way you want it. It could be totally custom quilted however you want it. You are the artist. You don't have to go spend money on a professional long arm quilter. That can be quite expensive. This way you're doing it all yourself. Now here very quickly, because when I'm AcuFil quilting, again, we're going to see the back side. So I do generally use the same thread in my needle and in the bobbin. So it's the same thread, but instead of using the high tension embroidery bobbin holder that we typically would use because we want those needle threads to pull to the back side, in this case for AcuFil quilting, I don't want that. I don't want all the buildup of thread on the back side. We use a low tension, in this case it's a blue dot bobbin holder. So the regular bobbin holder is red. The embroidery bobbin holder for most machines is yellow. For the CM17, it's white. It's a 20-gram bobbin holder. Again, higher tension to pull the needle threads to the backside. When we're doing typical embroidery, that's what we want. We don't want the bobbin thread on the top. We want to use the high tension bobbin holder to pull the needle threads to the back. But with AcuFil quilting, because we're going to see and feel the back of the quilt, we use the low tension blue dot bobbin holder with the 8 grams of tension. It has less tension, so it's not going to pull the needle threads to the backside. It's going to be nice and smooth and cuddly. I always say when you're done quilting, you should wash a quilt anyway. It'll just be nicer and feel nicer, more cuddly. Now I love using our red tip Janome size 14 needle with, again, that sharper point, larger eye, so we can use heavier threads when we're doing some quilting. Or again, because of that sharp point, we can go through, maybe we've got 2 layers of batting, maybe we've got fluffy polyester batting. The purple or the red tip needle will pierce those layers very easily. Or we could use the purple tip size 14, again, a larger eye, but the purple tip needle have the flared cobra head. So that separates the fibers of the fabric better, so the bobbin thread and needle thread intersect more readily. Purple tip needles also eliminate skip stitches, so those are great to have on hand. So raise the presser foot just over my time. Now, again, we would then clip our threads. I'd use the thread cutter, but typically I would raise my bobbin thread up, because then again, I just don't want to have to go back under my quilt and cut it. But again, we just easily remove these magnets. And then we would easily remove the magnets. And then we would remove, again, where, look at that, look at that. Look at that. Does that not look continuous? Like, does that not look beautiful? And again, I was trying to size the difference between this previous line of stitching to the new line of stitching. So they would be approximately about 1/4 of an inch, which is the distance of the stippling itself, but pretty darn good. Again, would you see that that is not continuous? That is fantastic. So again, I would unclamp my quilt. There you see it's a little further apart there. Then I would go back to the center. And again, I haven't removed my hoop at all. I just go back, and then again, I take my, oh, geez, I'm so sorry. Again, I'm hurrying to finish. Again, I take my template, my hoop, there, back, position my fabric exactly where I need, clamp it, remove my template, and away I go. So it just makes it so much faster, so much easier. It is fantastic. So yes, let me flip around and say goodbye. Now, the cool thing is, if you are in the Oakville area, Oakville, Ontario area, I'm going to be doing a whole AcuFil quilting class, a whole day class at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center in Oakville, Ontario. I'm doing that next Tuesday. So you can go on our janome.ca site to sign up for that class if you are within the, again, Oakville, Ontario area. All day AcuFil quilting hands-on, or again, I'll be up in Dominion sewing up in Sudbury, Ontario. Actually, I'm going tomorrow, and I'll be there Friday and Saturday, and I'll be doing some demos of AcuFil quilting. So if you would love to learn more, again, double check the Janome America YouTube channel, Janome HQ YouTube, Janome Life blog, and your respective Janome dealers in America and in Canada. Double check what events they have going on. And to get a Janome Canada or a Janome America educator to their store, double check with your Janome dealers to see what they have that you can learn more, how to get more, in this case from your Janome embroidery machine, turning it into a long arm quilting machine with AcuFil Quilting. So yes, exactly. For your $12,000, you have an AcuFil quilting kit available for your machine. So double check with your dealer. So thank you everyone so much for joining me today. This has been absolutely wonderful. I will see you next week as well. I am back to help you get more from your, in this case, 550E, 550 ELE, MemoryCraft 500. There's so much we can do with them. So thank you everyone for joining me today. Have a fabulous day. Bye.